Yeah, I mean, I need to be better from Saturday. Going back, looking at it, didn't prepare the team, coaches to the best of my ability. That's what we ask the kids to do day in and day out, and so that we can be at our best on Saturday. Obviously, not the performance that we were looking for, and that starts and ends with me. So I need to be better so we can put ourselves in the best position to be successful. The beauty of it is that we're still relatively early in the MAC conference schedule here. We've got a great opportunity to go on the road, go down to Ohio. We're still sitting in first place in the East, heading into week 8, which is a great position where we can be. We control our own destiny. We got to be a goldfish, as my good friend Ted Lasso would say. Forget what happened, learn from it, go forward, and be better because of it, and get ready to attack a very dangerous Ohio Bobcat team, regardless of what their record says, because they're playing at a high level. They've been in all their ball games here of recent, and they're a great program that has sustained success. So we know that we're going to be in a 4-quarter fight when we go down there this Saturday in Athens.
Well, let's start with kind of wrapping up on Saturday. Alan, do you have any questions for Coach stemming from the game out at Western?
Yeah, Coach, just specifically, what did you see on film that, you guys weren't able to do?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is that, when it came to techniques, fundamentals, and doing the simple things at a really high level, like we talked about last week, we got to do that more consistently. And myself, I got to make sure that we're putting those kids in the best positions to do that successfully. But, it's a simple game. We got to block, we got to tackle, we got to protect our quarterback and be able to, do simple things at a really high level against a talented team. We didn't do that to the way that we were capable of. So it's just something we got to get back to our fundamentals and do that to the level at which we are capable of, and that will be more than enough.
I'm assuming you saw most of the kids yesterday. How did they take the loss? What are they thinking right now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was not the outcome that we were looking for. And the kids invest so much week in and week out, whether we win or we come up a little bit short, there's a lot that goes into it. So when you come up short, there's hard lessons that need to be learned, and the kids take it personal. But they did a great job of owning what they put on tape. Thought everyone in the Flash Fast family did a great job, of looking inward first and foremost and asking where they could be better for the good of the team. And, we watched the tape, we learned from it. We took the information that we needed to from it so that we could be better. And now we're looking ahead.
The third quarter thing, obviously, just kind of what did you see there this time? And kind of what are your thoughts about that now that you've had a little bit of time to think about it, moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you turn the ball over, I mean, that was a critical play. And again, it's a simple, technique deal to where our wrist was below our elbow. The ball got knocked out, and then they go and score. We come back and don't respond. We go 3 and out. They go down and score. And no matter when that happens in a game, obviously that's going to be a critical point of it, right? Where we're sitting in a 1-possession game. You got an explosive play. The first play coming out of half, you turn the ball over, and again, hindsight being 2020, right? You go down and you score and you take a 1-point lead. That's obviously a big difference in a momentum swing going the other way when you turn the ball over, you give up a score. And then for us offensively to go 3 straight 3 and outs after that, again, it's just not doing the things that we are capable of doing to the level at which we can get them done. And we gotta be better in that regard. And I got to put our kids in a better position to be successful. Again, I'm gonna talk to the leadership council, see if there's some things maybe that we need to do in a different way at practice or during the course of the game, so we can make sure we're ready to roll. But again, I think it's just a culmination of a lot of events where it keeps culminating in the third quarter these past few weeks.
Our teams, obviously, everybody makes adjustments. Are you having issues with responding to adjustments that are being made by other teams? Is that part of what's going on?
Nope. No, a lot of what they did in the first half is what they did in the second half. And again, we had execution in the first half. We didn't have execution in the second half.
Flip to the run defense, which had been, I know Bowling Green, you shut them down. Things were looking better. Obviously, last 2 weeks, they put up some big numbers on you there. What's been the difference there?
Ability early in the season to disengage and get off blocks and make tackles and knock the ball back so the ball's not bleeding for extra yards, versus the past couple of weeks, we haven't been as consistent getting off of blocks and making tackles.
Alan, do you have any other questions for Coach from Saturday? Let's move things over to Jack Brady from TV2.
Yeah, Coach, obviously not the outcome you wanted, but was there anything positive that you took away from Saturday's game?
I mean, there was explosive plays on both sides of the ball. I thought our kicking game, in all phases of special teams, put forth one of their best efforts. I thought that was positive. Every time that the ball gets teed up and our kickoff return team goes out there, I feel like we have a really good chance to take that thing all the way back to the house. And we're like one block away on all those deals. We were able to manipulate, where we're putting the ball and kickoff. And Andrew Glass continues to do a really nice job with that. The PAT and the field goal opportunities that we had, aside from the one low kick that we had that got blocked, Western Michigan had put on tape that they got tremendous rush on that. And with our swinging gate and the different things that we do, especially after touchdowns, to take some of that steam off of the rush and then to execute the 2-point play when we needed it. Those are obviously all positives, great things. And again, there's great moments defensively when we're getting knocked back using great fundamentals, to where we show what we're capable of doing in all three phases of the game.
You mentioned it a little bit earlier. Keeping Dustin upright was a big issue on Saturday. They got 5 sacks. Just what does your offensive line need to be able to do to bounce back this week?
Lean back on their techniques and their fundamentals. Again, we got a lot of people that have played a lot of football up front there. And when they do it right, it's clean. It looks right. On a lot of those sacks, a couple of them are on, the throw game in terms of Crum hanging on to it a little bit too long or moving and when he didn't need to. And he'd be the first to admit that. We got some receivers that, need to do a better job getting releases. So the timing of the routes are good. And then there's just some technique things where we underset or overset some different things that when we get in those situations where we're forced to throw the ball because of the way the situation dictates, those guys can pin their ears back. You got to be right. You got to be sound. That's what our kids are capable of doing. I know they'll bounce back and do it at a really high level this week.
All right, well, let's wrap up Saturday with the Kent Standard.
Yeah, Coach. Sky Moore and Ellaby had a really good game. What did you see from your secondary in that game?
I thought they did a nice job challenging for the majority of the time. I thought at times we kind of panicked and we lost our technique. Really good players across the board. We knew that going into it because of what they did offensively and the way that they could stress you out, both run and pass. We had trust and faith in them. And I still do have tremendous trust and faith in our kids that when their techniques and their fundamentals are sound and they, track and play the ball in the air, good things are going to happen. They've done a tremendous job of shutting down really good wide receivers, up until that moment. So which is why we built the plan the way that we did. And we're going to continue to have faith and continue to have trust in those guys to step up in big moments. And I know they'll make big plays this week as we go forward.
At the end of the game there, Luke Floria was making some nice catches, some nice plays. What did you like seeing from him? And is he someone you look to go to maybe more in the future?
Anytime a kid gets an opportunity, we talk to him all the time. I can't tell you when your opportunity is going to come. You got to improve so that you can perform when those opportunities show up. I think it's one of those deals where we think that, this whole idea of opportunities are open invitation is a misnomer. The opportunities are going to present themselves and you got to make the most of them. Luke did that. He stepped up. He practices that way. So it's not a surprise. We happen to be very deep and very fortunate in our skill positions. So I know that he'll stay ready. So when his number's called upon, he'll step up and perform the way that he did.
James, you good with questions from Saturday?
Yep, I'm good.
Well, Coach, what are your initial thoughts about the Ohio Bobcats? Obviously, like you mentioned, not the record they would hope to have accomplished, but definitely have been in, like you said, every conference games thus far.
Yeah, I mean, really every game besides a couple, they've been in it, and they are a very dangerous team. They know how to win, and just because the record doesn't indicate that, there's a few plays here or there that could go the other way, and that whole record could be flipped the other way. So, they got our total attention, and it's a critical game to where, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think there's anyone in the organization here that has gone down there and won. So they got all of our attention, and we got to do a great job in our prep. And our plan to win is about us and doing it the right way, giving them the utmost respect, so that we know our opponent intimately, but then go down there and handle business the way that we're capable of. And, got to make sure that we're dotting our I's, crossing our T's, and making sure that we're ready for a really well-coached team that plays exceptionally hard.
Well, let's open up for some questions in advance of Saturday's matchup. Alan, do you have any questions for Coach?
Yeah, Coach saw some highlights of their quarterback at a big run. Just kind of talk about what he brings.
Yeah, I mean, true dual threat guy. Obviously the 99-yard run. Anytime you got a kid that can do that and has the ability to step out and step away in that regard, it kind of perks your ears up, but he has the ability to hurt you in a lot of different ways with his arms and with his legs. But they've always been committed to having a mobile quarterback in all the years that we've played them. So again, that stresses you out in a little bit different way to where you have a team that's truly committed to running the quarterback, and that quarterback can still hurt you with his arm. So again, we just got to be assignment sound. We got to do a great job communicating, and then when it comes to the moment of truth, we got to get off blocks and we got to tackle, to bring him to the ground along with all their other dynamic playmakers that they have.
Obviously, new head coach, but is it basically the same Ohio team as far as what they do and how they play?
A lot of the core tenets are the same. I think the core beliefs that make them who they are and the reasons that they've been successful and culturally why they've had success, that still shows through. And that's why they've been in all these ball games, and that's why they could have very easily won all these games. There's a few tweaks, few adjustments that they've made to fit their personnel. It's been 2 years since we've seen them because of what happened last year, and there's some things in all three phases where they're just slightly different. You can tell again that's good coaching. It's matching the strengths of their people so that their guys can excel and do what they're best at doing.
Obviously the matchup with your run defense against them, obviously that's what they like to do. Just kind of talk about that matchup and what you need to do to win that and kind of set everything up.
Yeah, I mean, our kids need to prepare and practice really hard, and then that way when the moment comes, we can do what we're capable of doing. When we're locked in and we're focused and we're playing with great fundamentals and executing the plan and executing the calls, that our staff puts forth, we've proven time and time again that we're capable of doing great things. When we don't play with that focus, when we don't play with that intent, when we don't play with great fundamentals, it doesn't matter, what's what. You're going to get exposed in that regard. So we got to do a great job in prep, have elite habits when it comes to that, and then play with elite habits and elite fundamentals when we get to the moment of truth, so we can do what we're capable of doing and get on about with what we need to get done.
Who jumps out defensively for them?
They're one of their defensive ends, number 9, real active player. Will Evans is his name. He's a senior. He's played a lot of ball, very twitchy, good length off the edge, has the ability to rush the passer. Their inside linebackers are always very physical downhill players, and that holds true again. And then they've played quite a few kids in the back end that are very opportunistic. Their safeties have some length, have some range, can cover some good ground. But I would say number 9 is their best defensive player that we need to be aware of at level 1, who can be disruptive in both the run and the pass game.
Can you give an update? I know Dan Johnson hasn't played last couple weeks. Can you update him and just any other injury situations you're taking on right now?
Yeah, I mean, middle of the season, guys got some bumps and bruises, some different things that we're working through, and each week we're optimistic that we'll get them to game day and they'll be able to play. So it's the same thing, with a lot of those guys. There's nothing season ending. It's just a matter of getting them to where they can be optimum, so that they can go perform.
Alan, any other questions for Coach? Let's move things along to TV2. Jack?
Yeah, Coach, you talked a little bit about their quarterback. Is there anybody else on the offensive side of the ball that kind of jumps out at?
Yeah, I mean, their running back's a very dynamic playmaker, not only as a running back and him toting the rock in that regard, but also he's a dynamic return man. I mean, last year, and I think there are 3 or 4 games that they played, he had 3 or 4 touchdowns that were returned, in the kicking game. So we got to be aware of that. And then the receivers and tight ends, number 88 and number 6, they're both returning starters that have played a lot of football and that, again, are dynamic playmakers if you don't do a great job bottling them up.
Ohio's defense this season, they seem to be doing a lot better against the run than the pass. Will that make you guys more aggressive in the passing game come Saturday?
We got to see. It's a little bit unique how people play us in different regards. Western Michigan had shown a 4-down front in all of their games except for the Michigan game. And then they came out and treated us like Michigan and played us exclusively in an odd front besides that first drive. We're in a unique way. We're not exactly a triple option offense per se, right? But because of our tempo and the different things that we do, we got to get into the game and we got to see how people treat us because it's kind of a unique beast. So, they're being much more aggressive to committing hats to the box, which has allowed them to, shore up their run fits. And, if they do that, then we're going to go attack where the space is, where the numbers are, and where the leverage advantage is. So we just got to see how that sorts out on Saturday.
Last one. Is there anything particular you think will be important on Saturday, or just same old same?
Fundamentals. Fundamentals are key. Elite communication, great fundamentals. That's got to travel. That's got to be who we are.
Well, let's wrap things up with the Kent Stater. James, you have any questions for Coach?
Yeah, Coach, their kick return just took back a kick for a touchdown. When you hear something like that, does that perk your ears up? Does that, do you pay more attention to that? And how do you think your special teams has been holding up this year on coverage?
I thought our coverage units last week had their best day. Obviously, as I kind of just mentioned, Teague's been doing this for the past few years. Last year, he had 3 they brought back to the house. Last week, 70-yard return, so well aware of them. And obviously, when there's dynamic playmakers that can influence the game, the way that we have this year, we're going to make sure that, we limit those guys as best we can so that we give our the best chance to be successful on game day.
And it's been mentioned several times, in the press conference that 2 close losses for them. Do you, in your opinion, does that make a team hungrier for a win? Does that make them tougher to play against? And how do you prepare your team for, a team that might be looking for a win more than some others?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have such an exceptional conference because of how tightly grouped all of our talent is and how well coached all of our players are. I mean, if your mind's not wrapped around a 4-quarter fight, regardless of what the record says, week in and week out, and you're not prepared and intentional about your preparation, and you're not intently focused on the job that needs to get done on game day, you're kidding yourself. And so regardless of what the record is, regardless of, how close those games have been, anyone, as cliche as it is, right? Anyone on any given day can beat anyone. So we got to go in there and we got to be the hungrier team. We got to match their intensity. We got to exceed the physicality that they're going to bring because they're a very physical football team. And we got to be prepared again for a 4-quarter fight. Like we've been talking about the daily fight and the fight that each and every single week, the expectation can't be that anything's going to be easy. It's just like life. Like nothing's going to come easy of any sort of value. So you got to be willing to roll your sleeves up, do the work. Work works. Let's go get it on and, be the better team on that day. And if that's the case, that should be enough, and find a way to get back home here and go into the bye the right way.
James, you good with any more questions for Coach? All right, Coach, we'll let you get ready for the Bobcats on Saturday. Hopefully right around 3:30, 4 o'clock, we're talking about a big W.
There we go. Got to do the work. Thanks, boys. Go Flashes.